Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to be working on my Ryobi impact driver, and the symptoms were I was using it. I've got a little Torx bit in there right now. I was using it and it just stopped turning with me. So I put a new fresh battery in there and pulled the trigger and nothing happened, but I could see the motor trying to turn a little bit. And so I'm going to see if changing out the switch on it is going to remedy the issue. I bought this switch online off of eBay, really, and should be a replacement switch for this device. So I'm going to take it apart and see if we can get that working. You need a T10 Torx driver to take this apart. So basically, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws on the side, and I'm going to take 2 screws out right here because this side will fold off like this, and so 2 of these screws on the head have to be out too. So T10 Torx will take that out. I can keep that where you can see it. I used to have a Jack Russell Terrier, so if you ever have a Jack Russell Terrier, check out that screw, check out that Torx bit. He really chewed those things up, but that's okay. He was a great dog, probably the best dog I ever owned. Smart dog. So if you ever get an opportunity to own a Jack Russell Terrier, I would recommend it. But be ready to have everything in your house chewed up. Because they like chewing on things. I'm going to do this real time so you can see how long it takes. Guess I could have done this with a nut driver or another drill. I've already had this open and looked at it, and so we'll see. All right, so let's get these out. I didn't think I put it back together this good, but I guess I did. So I hope you're having a good day. It's been raining here in Tennessee and storming and tornadoes and stuff like that. So hope everybody has made it through safely. It was raining here earlier, but it's stopped raining now. Got a 13-year-old. He wants a basketball goal, so I think tomorrow or maybe Saturday. Today's Thursday. Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. Either Friday or Saturday when they go pick him up a basketball goal. We've got a ball goal at the end of the street, but the street's not too good. It's got dips in it, and then there's a sewer lid right in the middle too, and so can't consistently bounce the basketball. So he wants to put one in the driveway. Okay, let's see if I can get that to come apart. Yeah. Okay, so there it is. Lay that to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this switch and, well, guess what? You're not going to believe it. I have taken apart my good one. Well, let's get her back together. I don't want to take this one apart. This is my good one. How did that get on my bench? I guess I was using it last. Okay, so let's put it back together. I thought it had more screws. I could have swore the first time I took that apart, it had a T20 on the head. I thought, well, maybe I was working on something else. So anyway, I hope you guys have those type of moments sometimes, because I seem to have them more and more here lately. Well, I won't bore you with me putting the screws back in here. I will pause this and I'll get the real patient up on the table. Okay, I'm back. So I got the screws put in there, and yeah, that's my good one. You know, I you just have to laugh about that kind of stuff. It seems to, yeah. So that's the good one. I'll put that to the side. And this is the one I needed to work on. And this does have two T20 screws. The older one has two T20 screws right here. So I'm going to take the T20s out. Just get them out enough where they don't touch the part of the clamshell case. All right, and then they got 2, 4, 6, 8 screws that will take the clamshell off. So that's a little bit different. The other one had 9 screws, and they were all the same size. This one has 8 screws, and or 8 screws in the side. The other one had 9 screws in the side and 2 in the head, and this one has 8 screws in the side and 2 in the head, and 2 different sizes. So barely enough magnetism on that to pull those out. And I've already got the switch out of the old one, and there it is. And so I desoldered the wires from the motor off the switch. So I'm going to be putting a new switch in there. And it wasn't too. I think I maybe gave $20 for the switch, something like that. So it's about half the price of buying a new impact wrench. So not too bad. Save 50%. Every little bit counts these days. See if I can pull that off. I may have to pull those out. I may have to take all 4 of these off the head on this one. I believe I did. Because the head sort of holds the, that's the T20s here. It's quite a workout. And I didn't know I put them back in there that bad. I'll take this thing apart and let you look inside of it so you don't have to take yours apart. I think, look at that. Look at how it works. I don't know exactly how it works, but you look at it. Okay, so as you can see, there's a set of stationary gears inside the unit itself. The middle shaft is the motor. So, and then the motor fits into this, looks like a planetary gear assembly. And I think that's what makes it wobble. So it gives it its impact. I don't know if it wobbles, but it gives it some type of impact effect. You can see that there's a spring of sorts in here. Probably does it based on torque and friction. Give it that signature impact. There it goes. You see I've already taken the switch out, and I'm sorry I didn't get that on video, but it's not really much to it. In fact, when you see me put the switch back in, it's pretty much the same process in reverse to take it out. So so you want to make sure you don't lose your little forward reverse switch here. You'll be in a heap of trouble. So what's neat is this switch is there's the connector for the battery. It's got the LED light on it, and then these two big leads here are the one that feeds the motor. So I'm not going to resolder them to the motor. There's actually a lot of room in this cavity up here. There's plenty of room to cut both of these on a splice and then solder them in, and then let the slack be up there where above the switch. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So basically, the switch goes in here like this, and so right in here in this cavity there's a lot of room for wires to go. So I'll be able to splice these wires into the existing wires on the motor itself. And if there's any slack, I can hide it in this cavity here and not have to worry about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip the wires, red for red, black for black, and I'm going to get them soldered together. And then once I get them soldered together, then I will come back and walk you through the next step. There's no need to, this is just standard soldering procedure here to get those together. And then I'll come back and show you the rest of how to reassemble it and see if it works. Okay, I'm back. I got this uh, switch soldered together, and I put some heat shrink tubing on it instead of black tape. So I'm going to see if I can fit all that back in the chassis. I'm going to turn my soldering iron off. So just a little, I don't know if you can see it here. Let me pull it over here. This is the base. I've got an old school Weller soldering iron or soldering station, and so the key to soldering is keeping a good clean tip. I've got a wet sponge here, and so whenever I store my soldering iron, I'm not using it anymore. I always um, put some solder back on the tip. So what happens is the solder will keep the tip from being exposed to the elements. And just stick it back in there and then turn it off. And what happens, that solder will solidify over that tip and protect the tip. So let me do a little cleanup on my bench here. Got some flux that dripped down from my soldering. Flux is your friend if you're going to solder. Make sure you get some good flux. That's a Kester mildly activated rosin right there, liquid rosin. And then I've got some 100% alcohol in a little tube right here. And come off. Rosin drip down. Got on my bench. Clean up a little bit as I go. Get all my pliers out of the way. All right, I'm ready to put this back inside the housing. Let me bring the housing down here. All right, so the motor goes in just like this. Make sure you don't lose that gasket. That All right, so the motor goes in like that, and then we're going to start routing the wires around the edge, pretty much the same way they came out. So if you are a little bit forgetful like I am, you may want to take a picture of this with your phone or go back and watch the video on how it came apart. So basically, it goes in there like that. I'm going to fit the switch into place. Probably going to push it out of there a little bit, so that's fine. I'm going to fit the switch into place. Now on the switch itself, there's this little toggle, and that's your forward and reverse. And if you'll notice inside the forward and reverse button, there's a little hole. Well, it fits down on that toggle like that. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that, all right, so that's on the bottom side. I'll push my toggle all the way down, and then I'll fit the switch back into place, and it is inside my toggle. And then I'm going to pull battery connector wires around, and that is the LED. Pull it around. All right, so basically now I've got this little cavity here. I've got the switch where it goes, and I've got this cavity here. So I'm going to put this wire back down, and I'm going to start seeing if I can get these wires just to fall inside that cavity and not have any friction on the forward and reverse switch, which may be a little problematic because I used a little bit too much heat shrink tubing here, but that stuff will bend too. So we'll bend it around a little bit, see what we can do. Got to get creative here, but that's okay. You have to understand too, when you put the clamshell on, it's got the same void on the other side. So you're really working with twice the space that you think you might have. So as long as you can get it in there, that when you put the clamshell on it, that it doesn't pinch the wires, you should be okay. Okay. So that's got my red one exactly where I want it to be. I'm going to pull this black one over here. Yeah, it's got that black one over there and get it to lay down. All right, got that. It's not interfering with my toggle switch at all. It's laid down in there. So that part's good. Okay, so now, next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift the battery connector out of the way, and I'm gonna get my LED light. I'm gonna channel it back. It channels through. Take this out for just a second. It channels through all the way up to the front here. Hope you can see that. If you take yours apart, you'll understand exactly how this is done. In fact, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to start on this end and work my way back. So that fits in that little place there. And then it comes around. That way I can have my slack in this cavity back here. Because there's really no place for slack up here. And if you need an extra hand helping hold that in, you can put a piece of Scotch tape on it or something. I think I'm going to work with it here and see if I can get it to stay in. And they make the thickness of these things just exactly the size it needs to be. So pretty tight. There it goes. All right, so that's going to hold on pretty good. No worries. Okay. And behind that peg. No worries. Come up this channel. And the handle. Okay. And right around that. All right, so I've got the LED in. That's actually the hardest part. All right, so get my switch, but make sure your switch is back in place just like that. All right, so the only thing I lack is getting the battery connector back to where it belongs. And I'm going to put it in here like this. There we go. Just like that right there. Make sure the terminals are toward the back. There is a cutout for the positive terminal as it slides down in there. So I've got everything in place. Now all I gotta do is put my clamshell back on. Make sure I get my little horseshoe magnet in here. Got my LED, got my bit clip. Let's see what happens here. Little bit clip needs to be just coaxed a little bit. Make sure my LED is exactly where I want it to be. There it goes. The deal, loose seal. Take it apart. I don't want to break my LED. I want to take that apart and look at that. Yeah, that's where it goes. So you'll notice on the LED, it's got like a little, I don't know if you can see this, and I'll try to point it out. It's got the LED, and it's got this little horseshoe shape right here. And there is a nipple down in there that fits right over the top. So it sort of acts like a guide to only fit one way. So that's that. I need to pull my extra eyes over here for a little bit. And what's going to help is if I get the wire pushed down in there. Let me move this up where you can see. Get the wire pushed down in there enough. There it goes. So don't try to work its way back out. So I got it crooked in there somehow. Move this and this and make it just, let me get it in there first. I guess I'll pull that out and get my slack, work it back again. There it goes. It fits right in there. It's seated in there that time. Now I'll work it back again. I didn't have my magnifying glass to where I could readily see what I was doing the first time. So start by seating that first, and then work your way back to the trigger with your cable. You can see that. It's just fitting right in the groove. Goes around this little connector here. You know, when you're putting this back together, it should fit together pretty good without any kind of forcing it. So if you're forcing it, you're probably mashing a cable or something like that. So you don't want to be doing that either. So I have plenty of turned out to be a little bit trickier than what I thought it was going to be. Let me pull this battery connector back out. Just want to make sure I get this right because I'm going to be using this thing. Yeah, there it goes. And I'll put my battery connector back in. See if you don't, it just takes just a minute to do it right. So, you know, back up and do things the right way. It's my suggestion. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of good use out of this. And otherwise, it's not going to last long. So, all right, let's see how that goes back together now. Back on there. Lines up pretty good. They've made this where it lines up pretty good on the clamshell. All right. All right, so in all that wiggling around, I have let one of the motor wires come out. So I'll put that, and you see how when I pulled that out, I pretty much jarred the far out of everything. Got to fit my trigger back in there and get this red wire back down. Red wire for the motor. And then also the black wire for the motor. Go back in the housing. Sorry, I didn't notice that just a minute ago before I tried to put it back on. There we go. All right, all those are out of the way. This is now back in there. There we go. That's on there. There we go. Everything seems to be in good shape. All the seams are nice and snug. I'm going to put the screws back in. Start with a couple around the handle. Get them going. They'll pretty much hold everything together while I'm finagle it around. Obviously, when you take one of these things apart like this, you're going to void the warranty, whatever. So, you know, it's to me, it's worth it because I like working on stuff like this. I'm not going to cheat the company or anything. I'm not never going to turn this thing under warranty. So, I just want to try to fix it. If it don't work, I'll throw it away. How about that? No, I won't do that. I'll see what I can do to make it work. So I got a couple of those in. That's holding the clamshell together. I'm going to go ahead and put the head unit back on, put the gasket back on there. I believe that gasket goes like this right here. And it doesn't, does it? It goes like that. I guess you could probably oil that if you wanted, or grease that if you wanted to. Not oil it, but grease it if you wanted to while you had it out. But I'm not going to fool with that. Doesn't give me an issue. And let's try to get that to fit back on the spline of the motor. Okay, there it goes. Make sure that we got the gasket in place. This part goes to the top. And let's do our T20s. Just get them through the hole. That'll help keep that gasket in line. When you're putting these things in, if it feels hard to tighten, go backwards with the screw a little bit and let it fall into the groove. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting here threading some new threads on the plastic through there, and it can be tough to do, especially if you're doing a little screwdriver like this right here. If you've got some kind of motorized thing, you probably won't know the difference. But see, mine's being pretty easy on putting them in there. And if you got it cross-threaded, it'll be tight. Just so you know, I didn't have to take these bottom two screws out. I was just, I guess I was just being too gingerly with it. And about to get to where we can test it, see if it works. Nope. Okay, that's got the head unit put back on. Let me finish putting the screws in the side. Those are T10s, not T20s. That's one thing I noticed about the newer model. Everything on the newer model was T10. This older model, the screws on the head are T20s, whereas on the newer model, they are T10s. So I guess it makes it easier for the technician to work on them, because I think you can send these in to get warranty work done on them. We're about done with this. Thanks for hanging in here with me. We're doing this in real time, so that you can sort of get the idea of how long it might take to do this. Like I say, I spent, I think, $19 plus shipping from an eBay source to get this part here. All right, well, here's the, we're fixing to test this thing out and see if it works. Forward reverse switch. All right, so let's get a battery right here. Battery in. All right, here we go. You ready? It's working, and the LED's working. See See if it'll go backwards or frontwards. How about that? That's the new one. Here's the old one. Works like a champ. I'm tickled. So for 20 bucks, I replaced the switch in this thing. And the symptom is that I put a battery in there and it wouldn't go, but I could see the fins on the motor trying to turn a little bit. And they just wouldn't turn. And so now I've replaced the switch mechanism, and it seems to be working fine. I like the little LED here too. The new one's got a different type of LED. All right, well, that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you out if you've got one of these old Ryobis or if you got a new Ryobi. I think that switch would have worked with either one of them. It looked like the exact same switch. So anyway, hope this helps. Thanks for watching.